everyone. Welcome to Sundays with Scott. It's been a while. Sorry about that. Been a little bit busy, but here we are in whatever it is, March. And I have a little something I want to share with you. Look at this very nice Bible my wife got for me. It's awesome. So let me ask you a question while I'm turning to Hebrews chapter 12. Have you ever run in a race, like a 5K or something like that? And or something along those lines. And how did it go for you? Was it easy? Was it hard? Maybe you're not a runner. Maybe you are. Where's Hebrews? There's Hebrews. For me, I'm not a natural runner at all. I'm a little bit stocky, and so running is, I feel like a Clydesdale maybe, more than a thoroughbred. Let me read this scripture to you while you're thinking about that. Hebrews 12, verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. God has given us a race to run, the race of life, and the race of, well, following Him. And sometimes we're walking. Think back to my question about your race. Did you stop and walk for a little while? Maybe you just stopped. I know I have. And by the way, cheers. If you like what you're hearing here, will you please share it with a friend, subscribe, like it, all that good stuff. And thank you for joining me. I know for me, in the Marines, I had to run a lot, and we'd have what's called a PFT, a physical fitness test. And one of the parts of the test was to run 3 miles. And I would always be the last person in the first half of the race, and then I would begin to get my, what they call second wind, and I would really begin to pick up my pace. But I would have to control that pace. There are a lot of people when the gun goes off and the race starts, man, they're just boogieing, and I can't do that. If I do that, I'll be out of the race lickety-split. I have to start slow, just kind of trudging along. But after about half a mile, I finally am able to breathe. My legs start to warm up. By the time I hit the 1.5 mile marker, which is the turnaround point, now I'm feeling okay. And then I start to, then pretty soon now I'm starting to pass people up little by little. But I'm running my own race. There's this scene in from the movie Secretariat, and the gal's dad says to her about Secretariat, he says, "You let him run his race." And we have to run our own race. It says in Hebrews 12:1, it says, "Let us run with endurance the race God has set before us." And so for each of us, God has given us a different race to run. And the title of today's message is simply this: Running at the Pace of Grace. Let me show you something real quick. This is something my mom gave me a long time ago, and I still have it, and I still look at it. It says, "Lord, help me remember that the race is not always to the swift," there's me, "but to those who keep on running." And that is absolutely the truth. We're encouraged not to give up. And in the beginning of this verse, it says, since we're surrounded by I think the New King James says, so great a cloud of witnesses. And if you go back to the prior chapter in Hebrews 11, it's talking about all the heroes of the faith who did mighty exploits. But they did what God had called them to. They ran the race that God had set for them. But we have a race that God has given us to do. And in order to run that race properly, we have to do it with the grace of God. We can't do it like everybody else is doing it. If I would have run my physical fitness test like the people who were just sprinting at the start, I would have failed those tests and given up. I'd have been on the side, of the run and sick and wouldn't be able to finish my course. We have to receive the grace that God gives us in this life to do the things that God has called us to do. And we need God's grace. And so, again, let me read it to you. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses, and that's that Hebrews 11. And not only the people who were in the Old Testament, but there's other people who are Hebrews chapter 11 people. My grandfather, Clifton Mitchell. So we have people in this life who have gone home to be with the Lord, who are part of the great cloud of witnesses, who are cheering us on from the sides of heaven, saying, you can do it, you can do it. And let me tell you, I'm cheering you on. I can remember in those physical fitness runs that as we were finishing our race, those around us, we would cheer them on as well while we were running it. And today, I'm cheering you on. Maybe you're going through a little bit of a challenging time right now. Don't give up. Run at the pace that God is enabling you to run it. You don't have to sprint. Do what you can do. Even if it's walking for a season. Even if it's stopping for a minute to take some breaths, but then walk again. Don't give up. Don't quit. There's another scripture that's not in front of me. It says that in due time, we will reap a harvest if we don't faint, if we don't give up. And finally, it says, let us take off the things that weigh us down and trip us up. So think, is there a thing in your life that is weighing you down? Give it to the Lord. Is there a thing that's tripping you up? Maybe it's time for a change to avoid that thing. Ask the Lord to give you wisdom. In the book of James, it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives liberally. In other words, he'll give a lot. And without reproach, he won't, beat you over the head for it, The blessings of the Lord maketh rich, and he what? He addeth no sorrow with it. So be encouraged, my friends. Thank you for joining me today. You run your race with God's grace. Until next time, I'll be seeing you. God bless.